called Symphony of Your Life, Restoring Harmony. Look at that. And we have some here, if any of you would be interested afterwards in looking at it. I'm sure Mark would be happy to have you take one home. So, please, well, and he brought a nice wife and a friend, and we appreciate them all coming today, so that's all. Welcome, Mark.
So let me check in with you. Who today has done some painting already? Anybody? Deborah Lee, you've done some painting. Oh, fantastic. Good. How about musical composition? Anybody done any composing yet today? I know it's early, it's just after 7 a.m. What about book writing? Have you written anything in a book yet today? Anybody? One? Okay.
In process.
Oh my goodness. Deborah Lee, what time do you get up?
I don't sleep.
Well, I appreciate you raising your hand, and thank you for that, and you've done some writing. For those of you who didn't raise your hands, I would actually beg to differ with you a little bit. Because it's my observation, I would suggest that the reality is that every one of us, every day, is writing the story of our lives. We're painting the masterpiece of our lives. We're all composing the symphony of our lives every single day. So a better question, rather than have you, would be, why did you choose the words that you've chosen already today to add to your life story? Why did you pick the colors to put into your paint box that you're going to use for the rest of the day today to add to your canvas? Why the notes? Why the lyrics? Why the particular libretto that you're going to add to the symphony of your life today, tomorrow, next week? Why do you do what you do? I had a chance to ask myself that question just over 3 years ago. May 18th, 2012, I was over in Moab, Utah, with a bunch of my friends go there every year to ride mountain bikes. We were on our first ride of the trip. Happened to be the Porcupine Rim Trail, for those of you who know Moab. We'd taken a van up to the top of the trail and had been freewheeling down the slope for about 45 minutes. And at that point, the trail crosses a paved road. So I skipped up onto the pavement, back down into the dirt on the other side, and that's when I noticed a little challenge in the trail. Didn't think anything of it, didn't even slow down, but I do remember thinking to myself, I'm either going to have to jump that or go around it. It's the last thing I remember from the ride. The next thing I remember is waking up, looking up at the clear blue sky, still on the trail, but I wasn't on my bike anymore, and I wasn't moving. In fact, I couldn't move my right arm. Paralyzed. I'll come back to that in just a minute. But first, I want to say thank you. I know Dottie is not here. This is where I tell you what a great job she does. She's, I speak to groups all over the Front Range, in fact, all over the country now, and I work with program chairmen all over the place, and I just got to tell you, nobody does it better than Dottie does. So let's give her a round of applause in absentia here. You can tell her. So Polly, thank you for stepping in and doing the job for her today. I know she's doing important things today. For those of you who are here, my hat's off to you. Thanks for coming today. As a speaker, I study philosophy. And I've done some reading of one of the great 20th century philosophers, a fellow by the name of Woody Allen. You know Woody Allen. Woody Allen tells us that 80% of success in life is
getting up.
Showing up, that's right. Yeah, and I have learned that optimists are the kind of people who show up. You're here advancing the agenda of optimists. You're doing what you love to do. You got your oars in the water. You're people of action. You're the kind of folks I like to hang out with. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to spend some time with you today as you go about the business of composing, rehearsing, and ultimately performing the symphonies of your lives. So why am I here? What do I hope to accomplish? Well, the book that Polly so kindly mentioned a few minutes ago sort of sprang of its own volition out of the ashes of the Great Recession several years ago. And as I go up and down the Front Range and around the country speaking about the book and about creating the symphonies of our lives and restoring harmony when our worlds are out of tune, it never ceases to amaze me how frequently people come up to me afterwards and express the reality that they are still dealing with the aftermath of those dark ages. How their worlds are out of tune. There's another philosopher you may have heard of, a fellow named Plato? Plato tells us to be kind. For everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. You know, what we know, people, is that stuff happens. Stuff happens. It's not about what happens to us in life, because stuff is going to happen. It's about how we respond. So what I'd like to do today is talk a little bit about how you respond when fortune challenges you with difficult times. How do we restore harmony when our worlds are out of tune? How do we create the symphonies of our lives? Is that okay? Can we spend some time together talking about that today?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do we have to pour some more coffee there, Polly?
Yeah, we're always
Well, good. Well, as I've thought this through, I've recognized there are three realities we have to embrace if we're going to be successful at creating beautiful symphonies. The first is that we have to compose our symphonies with clarity of purpose. And then we have to rehearse our symphonies with passion and determination to get over, under, around, or through anything that stands between where we are and where we want to be in life. And then ultimately we have to perform our symphonies. And we need to present our symphonies quickly, soon, because folks, time is short and the world needs your message. So how do we go about composing our symphonies? I was on a layover about a year and a half ago. Polly mentioned that I'm an airline pilot when I'm not speaking to civic organizations. Had the opportunity to lay over in Honolulu, one of my favorite layovers, as you can imagine. And on this layover, I was out on the far east part of the beach. You know Honolulu? Have you been? Anybody been to Honolulu? Yeah. Yeah. You remember Diamond Head way out to the east? Well, I was actually back around behind Diamond Head, this volcanic crater on a secluded area of the beach, just before sunset, strolling along there as I like to do. Yeah. Somebody's got to do it. And in this area of beach, there was really only two people. There was myself and another lady who was strolling along there, and I noticed every few steps she'd bend over, pick something up off the beach, put it in a piece of palm bark she was carrying in her hand. I watched a few minutes, and sure enough, she bent over, picked something up, put it in a palm bark. After a while, my curiosity got the better of me, and I had to ask, ma'am, what are you picking up there? She looked right at me. She said, I'm picking up gold. Okay. And crazy people in Honolulu, too. Well, like I said, I was on a layover. I didn't have anything else to do, so I walked along with her a little bit further. And after a few minutes, she said, you know, Mark, I've got a confession to make. I said, yeah, what's that? She said, I'm not really picking up gold. I said, no, I didn't think you were. What are you picking up there? She said, I'm picking up diamonds. Okay, crazier than I thought. Well, this woman was being tongue-in-cheek. I found out, had established a high-end swimwear business there in Honolulu, pulling down more than $1 million a year. Had franchises as far away as Tokyo and Miami, and not crazy. Literally, what she was picking up was shards of sea glass that she collects and puts in these crystal vases that she has all over her house now, beautiful pieces of furniture. Metaphorically, I learned, however, she was, in fact, picking up gold and diamonds, because she tells me that she goes down to that secluded area of the beach, and that's where she does her moving meditation. And so as you have these great ideas in meditating. And so she was picking up gold and diamonds. Well, I got to know her, and she invited me to come up to her house and meet her husband, Gordon. And Gordon Ivolani and I have become great friends, and now every time I have a layover in Honolulu, I make it a point to go up and visit Gordon and Ivolani. And we talk into the night, putting the world to rights. Well, obviously, Ivolani is a successful businesswoman. I'm in the personal development space. I'm an author and a speaker. Gordon is a successful businessman, author and speaker as well. So we talk about things like success in life and why so frequently we run into people who it looks like on their face ought to be successful, but somehow are not. And we ask ourselves why. And what do we do about that? And we've come to the conclusion that frequently it's because people haven't taken the time to define what success would look like in their lives. They wouldn't know success if it slapped them in the face. Well, that begs a question, doesn't it? How do we fix that? How do we help people understand? How do we help them to define what success would look like in their lives? And we've come up with this list of 6 questions that you happen to have right in front of you. And I'd like to kind of go through these 6 questions with you one by one and just give you a little highlight about what we think about, what they mean. Before we do that, let's make a couple of assumptions. First, let's assume that we are in a world in which we cannot fail. Otherwise, what's the point? And second, Money is no object. So in a world in which I cannot fail and money is no object, here we go. Question number one, what do I want to do? Well, that's your bucket list, isn't it? What do you want to do before you're done? Maybe take a stroll along the Great Wall of China. Maybe visit Fiji and do some swimming in the South Pacific. Drink something exotic out of a pineapple in Honolulu. What do you want to do before you're done? Question number two, in a world in which I cannot fail and money is no object, what do I want to be? That's your legacy. How do you want to be remembered? You know, I'd love to be remembered as the best father any 4 kids could ever hope to have. You know, I was giving this talk to a networking organization several weeks ago. We were in a restaurant setting. It was quite a bit noisier than today. And the guy stopped me. He says, Mark, he said, 84 kids? I said, 84 kids? What do you mean 84 kids? He said, well, you just said you wanted to be remembered as the best father 84 kids could ever hope to have. I said, no, 4 kids. I want to be remembered as the best father 4. He said, oh. He said, well, you did begin your presentation with an event that happened to you in Utah. Yeah, you'll get it, Polly. It'll come to you. How do you want to be remembered? He was an author. He was a speaker. He was a great father. What do you want your legacy to be? Question number 3. What do I want to have? Well, this question can get just a little bit sticky, can't it? We all have an idea of what kind of a car it's okay to drive in our peer group without being ostentatious. We all have an idea of how nice of a house we might own among our peer group without being unseemly. Beyond that, sometimes we can get a little bit intimidated by how much wealth it's really okay to accumulate for ourselves. There was a movie several years ago, starred Michael Douglas. He was a businessman, a wheeler dealer in New York. I see a head nodding. What was the name of that movie?
Wall Street.
Wall Street, yeah, thank you. And the Michael Douglas character, what was his name?
That I
Remember?
can't remember.
Yeah, I know, greed is good.
Yeah, that's his signature phrase. Yeah, Gordon Gekko.
Yeah,
Gordon
that's
Gekko. Greed is good. And, well, that's not us, is it? We don't want to be thought of as Gordon Gekko characters, greedy individuals who are all about accumulating stuff for stuff's sake, right? But that question, what do I want to have, takes on a different flavor when we pair it with question number 4, which is what do I want to give? I know that optimists spend a lot of your energy gathering material wherewithal, right? Collecting wealth. You call it fundraising, just like the Lions, just like Sertoma, just like Rotary. You all do that. Why? So that you can turn right around and plow those resources back into the communities that are important to you. You as friends of youth, taking care of the young people in our community. Thank you for that. Wouldn't it be great if we as individuals could have that kind of an impact on ideas that are important to us as individuals? What do I want to give? Question number 5. How do I want to spend my time? Well, how much time do you have? May 17th, 2012, I was 53 years old. The actuaries would have told me that I had well more than 20 years left to finish my book, to paint my masterpiece, compose my symphony, whatever I wanted to do. May 18th, lying there on that trail in Moab, Utah, not moving, my arm paralyzed, my symphony laying in the dust beside me, unfinished. I had reason to believe that my time was up. So why do you do what you do? Maybe more to the point, why are you doing today what you're doing today? Question number 6. With whom do I want to spend my time? Well, the point of this question, of course, is to remind us to gather to ourselves individuals who will enhance our lives, who will enrich our lives, who will encourage us to be the happiest, most successful, most productive human beings we can be. At the same time, to release to the universe with our blessing those individuals, you know who they are, the ones that kind of attach themselves to you and suck away your life force without really bringing something to the table. With whom do I want to spend my time? 6 questions that would allow anyone to define what success in life would look like, what their mission in life is, what their purpose is, why they're on this planet to begin with, regardless of their phase of life. Wouldn't these questions be appropriate for a high school student? How about somebody fresh out of college, starting life in earnest? Someone in midlife, in transition. A retiree, a senior in the statesmanship phase of life, looking for a purpose, trying to decide what they want their symphony to sound like. So let me ask you, what message is your symphony conveying today? What purpose is your symphony relaying to the world about how you want to live your life? Is your symphony conveying a message of hope, success, perseverance, determination, joy in life? Or today is maybe your symphony conveying something else? Is it maybe time to re-examine these questions, make an adjustment? Compose your symphony with clarity of purpose. And then rehearse with passion and determination to get over, under, around, or through any obstacle that stands between where you are and where you want to be. My daughter, Anna, 24 years old now, her dream is to be a Broadway diva. She wants to sing a lead role in a Broadway-style musical in New York. I remember when her dream was born. She was a very small girl. I took her to see a concert down at Betcher Concert Hall, presented by 3 of the cast members of the Disney film The Little Mermaid. Now, do you remember The Little Mermaid? You remember that movie came out in 1988, 89, I think it was, an animated film, musical. And Anna, just like every other little girl growing up in the early 90s, she knew every line in that movie, every note, every lyric, every song, every bit of music. If I had let her, she would have sat in front of the TV and watched that movie all day long, every day. She was absolutely in love with Ariel, the Little Mermaid. And when I told her that she was going to go see Jodie Benson in concert, the actress who had voiced Ariel, the Little Mermaid herself, Anna was over the moon, couldn't wait to go down there. So the night came, she got all dressed up in her little pink dress. And I put on my coat and tie. And I took her little arm, put it on mine. Off we went on our date down to Betcher Concert Hall to see Jodie Benson concert. Well, if this is the stage and you're the audience, our seats were stage right at the balcony, looking over the stage. So Anna could lean on the rail and look right down on Jodie Benson as she sang about being a part of our world. Great concert. Anna loved it. I loved it. But that wasn't the highlight of the night. The highlight of the night came after that. Now, normally when you and I go to a concert, we enjoy the music. The singers are whisked off into the wings, never to be seen again, right? Not that night. That night, Jodie Benson whisked off into the wings and went right back around to the lobby to interact with all of her young fans. Now picture the scene. Here's Jodie Benson, this now famous movie star, Broadway actress, on her knees, surrounded by all these little girls, 8, 9, 10-year-old girls who were just adoring her, and she was loving on them right back. Beautiful, beautiful scene. It was a magical evening. And I'm sure that was the night that Anna decided she wanted to be a Broadway diva. She wanted to sing a lead role in a Broadway-style musical. She wanted to be Jodie Benson. Well, let's fast forward a few years. Anna's now in the 2nd grade. She's invited to join the Colorado Children's Chorale. The Children's Chorale's home concert venue is the Betcher Concert Hall, same place where Anna had seen Jodie Benson sing. And night came for their first performance, and I remember as she was getting ready, she looked up at me with her big brown eyes and she said, "Dad, I might even breathe some of the same air as Jodie Benson." Yeah, she actually said that. Well, fast forward again now through 7 years of musical training with the Colorado Children's Chorale, through middle school and high school, and now Anna's a senior down here at Arapahoe High School. And by the time she got to be a senior in high school, her singing had developed to the point that she was invited not once but twice to be part of Colorado's all-state high school choir. Quite an honor. But you know, singing was not really her dream, singing alone. What she wanted to do is she wanted to sing a lead role in a Broadway-style musical. So for all of those years, she had attended audition after audition after audition to be in Broadway-style productions around the Denver area, both with her school drama clubs and with local theater organizations like Town Hall Arts down in Littleton and Performance Now over in Lakewood. And she had in fact been in several of those productions, but she'd always been in the chorus. She'd never had that lead role. Now, she's a senior at Arapahoe High School. There's nobody whose turn it is to have the lead role above her, right? Well, they're going to put on Damn Yankees. The lead female role is Lola, and Anna is sure she is going to be Lola in Damn Yankees at Arapahoe High School her senior year. So she prepares, she rehearses, she auditions, and yeah, she got into the cast. But again, that lead role was one other actress away. I remember her disappointment. The cast sheet went up. And I remember thinking to myself, one could be forgiven for coming to the conclusion, after all of that, maybe she really didn't have the chops. Maybe her singing, dancing, and acting really weren't good enough for her to have a lead role in a Broadway-style musical. One would be wrong. She graduated, and then that fall she went up to Casper, Wyoming, to attend Casper Community College on a scholarship to study musical theater. One of her first challenges there was to audition for their fall musical, which was going to be Crazy for You. Now, have you ever heard of Crazy for You? I'm a musical theater geek. I'd never heard of it. You've heard of it. Anybody else heard of Crazy for You? Crazy for You was a big deal. I had no idea. I'll tell you how big a deal it was here in just a minute. But suffice it to say that finally, after all those gigs as part of the chorus, Anna won the role of Polly Baker, the female lead in Crazy for You. And as great a moment as that was in her life, and that was a great moment for her, believe me, there was more. This is where I tell you about Crazy for You. Crazy for You had opened on Broadway on February 16th, 1992, and ran for 1,622 performances over the course of 4 years. Good production, successful production. In fact, it was so successful that it won a Tony Award for Best Musical along the way. And during that 4-year run on Broadway, the female lead, Polly Baker, Anna's first lead role, had been played by, you see it coming?
Mm-hmm.
Jody Benson. So, through Polly Baker, Anna's first lead role, she got to actually be her childhood hero, Jody Benson, for 2 weeks out. Just how cool is that? Well, that wasn't the end of the story. She went on to other lead roles as large as Maria in Sound of Music. But what if she'd given up after high school? What if she had never auditioned for Crazy for You at Casper College? Had she elected not to persevere through all of those failed auditions along the way, her dream would have died. Her life today would be different indeed. So how about you? Where are you in the process toward your best life? Where are you in the process toward creating your symphony? Are you rehearsing your symphony with passion? Are you determined to get over, under, around, or through anything that stands between where you are now and where you want to be? What obstacle stands between you now, today, and the symphony of your life? And how are you responding? Folks, we need to compose with clarity of purpose. We need to rehearse with passion. And then we need to perform our symphonies. I would encourage you to get your symphony out there as soon as you can, because time is short and the world needs your message. I woke up on that trail, my nose and mouth filled with the dust of the Utah desert. It was up to the next group of riders to come along, find me laying there, pulled out their cell phones. Thank goodness they got a signal, were able to get an emergency response. And then chaos broke loose, involved getting the paramedics from the Moab emergency room up to me on that trail, me onto the backboard, into the ambulance, down the hill to the Moab emergency room, where they took the x-rays. We found out that my neck was broken, because x-rays don't tell us everything we need to know about soft tissue. They couldn't diagnose how severely my spinal cord was injured. Thought they better figure that out. So they decided to evacuate me on a Flight for Life helicopter up to Grand Junction, put me in an MRI machine. So they wheeled me out to that helicopter. This rescue that had taken several hours of chaos was replaced as the helicopter lifted off for a 30-minute ride up to Grand Junction by a sense of relative calm. And I found myself thinking about the gravity of my situation. And the question that came rushing in, I could not push away, is how much worse is it going to get? See, I already knew, of course, my neck was broken. I knew my right arm was gone. Was I going to lose my left arm too? What about my legs? Were they going to quit working before I even got to Grand Junction? But if you follow that line of thinking just a little bit further, you come to a pretty dark place. You know, it's early. It's a nice day. I'm not going to say it out loud. I'll let you get there on your own. But suffice it to say that I understood for the first time on a gut level something I've known in my head for my entire life, and that is that tomorrow is not promised. Why do you do what you do? Is there something you need to say to somebody close to you that you haven't said? Is there something you need to do with your kids or your grandkids that you haven't done yet? The helicopter landed in Grand Junction. They wheeled me into the MRI machine, did the test, wheeled me back out. The neurosurgeon came over to give me the news. Yeah, Martin, no fooling, your neck's broken. 5 places, C5, 6, 7, T1, T2. That's the bad news. The good news is there's no spinal cord damage. How's that work? Neck broken in 5 places, no spinal cord damage? Well, Doc, my arm's paralyzed. What about my arm? Yeah, Mark, the nerves that control your arm are badly bruised, but the bruise is outside the spinal column, which means it will likely recover. And sure enough, it was only a matter of hours before I began to regain function in my right hand. At that point, I was given a great gift from the universe. Now it's not what you're thinking. You're thinking, no fooling sport, you got to walk away from a broken neck. Yeah, that was a nice gift. What I'm talking about is what happened next. The neurosurgeon trusted me up in this cervical collar and said, for the next 90 days, don't take this collar off under any circumstances. As you can imagine, that kind of cramped my style in summer 2012. There were things I would have liked to have done that I couldn't do with a cervical collar around my neck. This watershed event had brought my life to a sudden stop. And I was given the gift of stillness for a change. One of my colleagues at the Colorado Children's Chorale is an Argentinian woman. She tells me that in her culture, when someone has a watershed event like this that brings their life to a sudden stop, in Argentina, they get a new birthday, a new life. May 18th, 2012, I was reborn. I got a new life, a new symphony to write, a chance to start over. I'm 3 years old. And I got 3 months to consider that reality and decide how I wanted to respond to this challenge that fortune had placed at my feet. You know, you give a monkey 3 months and enough bananas, he'll figure it out. So I did. 18 months later, the book was finished. And that's why I get to stand in front of you today. So now I'm going to ask you one more time. But I'm going to ask you a little bit differently this time. What watershed event has brought your life to a sudden stop? What event has given you the opportunity to be still and consider your symphony? Because we know stuff's going to happen in our lives. But it's not about what happens. It's about how we respond. I've enjoyed our time together. In just a few minutes, we're going to go back out to our lives, our families, our jobs. And you're all going to have great successes. I can see that. But you are going to have challenges. We know that too. And I hope as these challenges present themselves, you'll take the time to think about my friends Gordon and Ivalani and the 6 questions we've come up with to allow you to reconnect with your sense of mission and purpose, what you want your symphony to convey. And I hope you'll think about my daughter Anna and her passion, the way she rehearsed and was determined to get over, under, around, or through anything that was going to stop her from getting where she wanted to be. And I hope you'll be cognizant of time. And that you'll take time to be still as you reconsider your symphony and how to respond to life's challenges. If you'll do those things, you'll create a beautiful symphony. You'll have an extraordinary life. And there'll be no doubt in anyone's mind, most importantly, your own mind, about why you do what you do. been a pleasure to speak with you today, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.